It looks like Nintendo is going to have a problem patenting summons. Red Dead Redemption 3 will most likely be made. And what new features will be coming to ARC Raiders by the end of the year? That and a few other smaller news items in today's video. If you like what we're doing here, bringing you gaming news almost every day, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. Remember, even if you subscribe and then decide you don't like something, you can always unsubscribe very quickly. Leave a like, give us a boost, and let's get started. I told you about the game Dispatch a few episodes ago. In short, it's a new Telltale-style game set in a superhero universe, where we play as the guy who manages everything from his headset. We tell each superhero which mission to take on, and besides that, the most important part of the game is, of course, the story, listening to the dialogue, watching the action, it's basically a lightly interactive series. And of course, we make choices at key moments, just as you'd expect from a Telltale-style game. And I, along with a pretty large number of players, really liked the game, because it sold 1 million copies. The developers wrote a post saying, 2 days, 80 million copies sold. Would have been nice. We sold 1 million in 10 days though. Still pretty good. And speaking of numbers, Battlefield 6 sold 10 million copies. We're fast approaching the Game Awards 2025, but even before that, the nominations will be announced. But even before that, the nominations for the Golden Joystick Awards will be announced. And as it happens, those nominations have just been released. So let's take a look at what got nominated. In the most important category, Ultimate Game of the Year, we have a few nominations here. Split Fiction, Death Stranding 2, Peak. It's interesting that Peak was nominated at all. ACD2, Clair Obscur, Ghost of Yotei, Silent Hill F, while basically most of the more high-profile games from this year got nominated. For Best Multiplayer, the nominees are BF, Peak, Night Rain, Split Fiction, Mario Karts, and Rematch. That's interesting. And this year, we also have a category for Best Remake, Remaster. It's interesting that they're putting these two ways of refreshing a game together, since a remake is something completely different than a remaster. In any case, we have Metal Gear, we have Oblivion, we have the Talos Principle, a refreshed Gears, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. I won't list everything for you. If you want to vote for yourselves, I'll leave a link for you in the description. In recent days, I've been completely absorbed in Arc Raiders. My god, this game is fantastic. The creators of Arc Raiders have outdone themselves from the sound design all the way to the fantastically designed drones, called RCs in this universe. To create them, Embark used machine learning, which generates animations and tests enemy behaviors. You see, this artificial intelligence can learn movements and then adapt them to the game world. So more than once, we're completely shocked by a move that a given drone makes. The developers have decided to reveal what new things await us by the end of the year. In November, we'll be getting a new map called Stella Montis. We'll also get some kind of community unlock event. On top of that, 2 new machines will appear, the Matriarch and the Shredder. There will also be some new gameplay items, probably in the form of weapons, and new quests. Then, in December, more new things are waiting for us. Things like snowstorms on the maps, some new event, and new quests. I hope that Embark Studios has learned from its mistakes with the finals on how to keep players around. Because, right now we're in that honeymoon phase where people are really getting into Arc Raiders. But when we eventually reach the point where the base content runs out, they'll have to save the game with updates, and it would be great if those updates were just as engaging as the base content. Because if they can't pull that off, then unfortunately, with each passing month, fewer and fewer people will be playing the game, and I wouldn't want that because it's fantastic. It's also worth mentioning the drama that's happening in the RC Raiders community. You see, the game obviously has proximity chat, which lets you talk to the raiders you encounter, and the players are divided into 2 camps. Those who prefer to offer help to another raider,
this is cool, man! And
those who eliminate other raiders.
Hey, don't shoot, I'm friendly, I'm friendly.
Finally, a target. This is the perfect opportunity.
Medium gun parts blueprint.
In some rounds, you'll meet a guy who just seems friendly, walks around with you, helps you out, and then at the end, shoots you in the back and takes your loot. However, looking at Reddit or the comments that appear under videos of the game, it turns out that these positive players strongly condemn hostile behavior. They say that in this game we should be helping each other, that it's not the other raiders who are the real problem but the ARC machines. And on one hand, you could say, okay, this game is about survival, and it's much easier to survive in a group, so killing another raider is pointless. Personally, I'd rather put out my torch. When I play solo, I'm more of a friendly type. However, the knowledge that there are bandits among the players is one of the things that makes the gameplay loop so good. Because we never know who we're going to meet, so we're constantly accompanied by this feeling of uncertainty. If the entire community were friendly, the game would lose something. We need bad guys in this game. We need those dudes who will shoot us in the head when we least expect it. The developers specifically added PvP to the game to bring out those bad instincts in players, and to make sure we always feel a thrill that's not just about the loot we find, but also about who we might meet. And now for a pretty funny situation. Do you guys still remember Days Gone? You know, that super average, almost bad game? That was an exclusive. I think it came out in 2020 or 2018 on PlayStation. And then the developers decided, or maybe Sony told them to not to make another single-player game, but a live service game. Guess how that turned out? After Concord, the project was cancelled and the team at Bend Studios was downsized by a few employees. The best part of all this is that it later turned out they're working on another live service game. This could be inferred from the job listings Bend Studio published, as they required experience in designing multiplayer games. Previously, Bend Studio had an Uncharted game they were supposed to help with cancelled. On top of that, the sequel to Days Gone was also cancelled. Well, the studio's history shows they're not having the best of luck because the only game they've released recently is Days Gone, which, well, wasn't exactly Sony's best product. And now we have new information because Robert Morrison, who is currently working on the game Ready or Not and previously worked at Bend Studio, gave an interview. In it, he was asked about the cancelled live service game. To be fair, over the 3 years I was there, we didn't make enough substantial progress. I saw the eventual cancellation coming prior to it. He says that for a long time, Sony was pushing live service projects very hard. However, after the failure of Concord, their thinking changed and they started to be much more cautious about it. And I'm not surprised the game was cancelled, especially when an employee himself said that for 3 years, they failed to make any significant progress. Red Dead Redemption 3 will probably happen. That's according to Dan Houser, the founder of Rockstar Games, who left the studio in 2020. Let's go back to the interview we discussed 2 episodes ago, because besides talking about Grand Theft Auto 6, Red Dead Redemption, and that medieval project, he also said that Red Dead Redemption 3 will probably happen, but he himself isn't happy about it. Each of the Grand Theft Auto games was, in a sense, a separate story. It's not quite the same as Red Dead Redemption 2. I think that in some ways it would be sad if someone continued Red Dead, because it was a cohesive 2-game arc. It would be even sadder to hear that someone is working on it. Several games will be leaving Game Pass soon. Football Manager 24, Spirit T, Stalker 2, Blacksmith Master, and Frostpunk. Last month, some huge and significant news broke that Nintendo had patented the concept of summons. The patent application for such a basic and fundamental game mechanic was actually approved, and it's really no wonder there was a bit of an outrage online, because a ton of games use a summon system. We summon in Elden Ring, we summon in Final Fantasy, summons appeared in Shin Megami Tensei, so what? Nintendo made a bold move, got what they wanted, and they're happy. It turns out, however, that the Japanese company probably won't get its happy ending because the online outrage was so great that more influential people started to take an interest. The head of the US Patent Office is taking a rare step, ordering a re-examination of the patent on summons. Director John Squires personally ordered a re-examination of US patent number 12,403,397, which Nintendo filed regarding summons. The director decided it was worth re-examining the patent, because 2 other, earlier applications describing similar ideas were found. One was filed by Konami in 2002, and one by Nintendo itself in 2019, and they described the same thing so similarly that it's necessary to check if Nintendo really deserved to have the summon patent approved. And what's very interesting is that the last confirmed order for a similar re-examination, ordered by the director, took place in 2012, so quite a while ago. Even though this information is very good for us and for the creators of Palworld, for now, we have to hold our horses, because a re-examination of the application doesn't immediately mean it will be cancelled. They might re-examine it and say, okay, everything checks out, it's awesome. So if anything new comes up on this matter, I'll keep you informed. And I'm really happy that Nintendo's ass is on fire. Well, their ass is on fire so much that news just broke that the Nintendo Switch 2 sold 10 million units.